In this video, we're going to talk about the third eye and its connection to what we call imagination. I'm going to read you some quotes from one of my favorite authors on this subject. His name is Neville Goddard, and I'm going to quote from his book called Awakened Imagination. So if you want to know more about the esoteric symbolism of the mind of God, your third eye, and how it all is connected to your imagination, stay tuned and let's jump into it. Peace. Welcome back, my conscious family. I am OnenO. Welcome to the blog. Today we're going to be talking about the subject of your third eye and how it is connected to your imagination. So I came across this awesome book by this author named Neville Goddard, and the book is called Awakened Imagination. I think this is one of my favorite sources to be able to discuss the idea of the inner landscape of the human being and how it is symbolically represented in the Bible as the story of God, Jesus, and how it functions with the mind of our imagination. I thought I would attempt to demystify this whole conversation because to me it seems very obvious that your third eye is what you are perceiving with when you look into the imaginal realm, which is actually within you. It's beyond the physical realm, which you see with your physical eyes. Your physical senses all perceive what we call the physical realm, but your third eye is what perceives the space of imagination. Other people call it the astral realm, the fifth dimension. There's many other ways of talking about this place, but I like the word imagination because it is the most understandable word to talk about what we're about to get into. You see, some people think that imagination is this like fantasy or false reality, whereas when you dive into esoteric literature, you start to understand that imagination is what we call the astral realm or the fifth dimension. It's the place where our thoughts come from, and we pull from this place to manifest into the physical realm. So I thought I'd read a couple quotes from Neville Goddard's book, which is called Awakened Imagination, and I'm just going to read you a few of these quotes that are my favorite quotes, and we're going to discuss them a little bit. In this first quote, he's talking about Hermes Trismegistus, and Hermes, for those of you that don't know, is deeply connected to Egyptian mythology, and he's known as the thrice born. But that's really neither here nor there. You can basically find a connection between Hermes and the way that he teaches about the inner landscape, and a connection between Christ and how Christ teaches about the inner landscape. So in this quote, Neville is quoting Hermes, and it says, "The Word, said Hermes, is Son, and the mind is Father of the Word. They are not separate from one another, for life is the union of word and mind." So again, when talking about biblical symbolism, we have all of this talk about the Father and the Son, the Father and the Son. It's laid out clearly in this quote that the demystified symbol is that the Father is the mind and the Son is the spoken word. In other words, Father is your imagination and the Son is the manifestation, the crystallization of that imagination into the physical realm. In another part of the book, Neville says, "Inner speech mirrors imagination, and imagination is Christ." So if you read the book, and I highly recommend that you do because it will explain a lot more in depth what we're about to talk about, but essentially the biblical story of Christ is talking about your awakened imagination. What is possible to do with the mind of God when you have an awakened imagination, otherwise known as an open third eye? When you are aware of this inner landscape, you can begin to change the inner landscape, to choose the thoughts and the feelings that you harvest inside consciously. And by choosing them consciously, you end up having a direct effect upon the physical world. Neville continues in another quote. In another part of the book, he says, "Alter your inner speech and your perceptual world changes. Whenever inner speech and desire are in conflict, inner speech invariably wins." And what this is talking about is, you see, our conscious mind sometimes likes to think that we can house these opposing thoughts and feelings within us, and that will somehow create a harmonious physical world to live inside of. But this is ultimately not true. So who wins the battle between the thoughts that are going on within us? The truth is, the thoughts that you entertain the most, those are the ones that are going to be projected onto the screen of the 3D physical world. And so in a reverse way of saying the same thing, even if the physical world is not showing you something that you desire, you must manifest and hold on to those thoughts in your imagination as if that world was your reality. And then that will precipitate down and have an influence upon the physical world so that you will experience that manifestation that you see in your mind's eye with your open third eye. In this next quote, Neville is quoting from the Bible, the book of Matthew, chapter 4, verse 4, where it says, "Man lives not by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And the mouth of God is the mind of man." In this quote from Matthew chapter 4, it's actually quoting something that Jesus said. And so symbolically, this is the awakened imagination speaking at this moment, saying that you live not by bread alone, meaning the physical world, but you live by every word dictated from the mouth of God, which is the mouth of your imagination, the space inside of you that speaks forth and shows you realities that are beyond the physical reality. This is precisely where man gets his influence from, and this is precisely where man manifests his influence upon the physical world. In another part of this book, Neville is also quoting from the Bible, and this time he's quoting Isaiah chapter 55 verse 11, which says, "My word shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." This means that when you take a word from your imagination, from the mind of God, and you utter it through your mouth, and you project it into the physical world, it will have a ripple effect. It will have a vibratory creation effect that it will come back to you fulfilled. And so it is very important that you choose your words wisely so that you can manifest the type of reality that you would like to experience. Which brings me nicely to the last quote I have from Neville in this book, where he says, "By a change of mental diet, you can alter the course of observed events." Meaning that if you change your inner landscape, you change the words and the pictures that you hold within you, you can actually alter the physical reality. And your ego, which is basically the interpreter of the physical, will be shouting at you this whole time. It will tell you, it will deny the fact that your imagination is out of alignment with the physical reality. And ultimately the ego will try to tell you that you cannot have what your imagination perceives because it's never been perceived with the mind of the ego, which comes in through the eyes, the physical eyes. But the mind of God, which is the imagination, that is where you must choose your thoughts and your inner pictures wisely, because it is those precise thoughts and words that will become manifest upon the 3D screen of reality. If you want more in-depth discussion around this subject, I have 2 other videos on my channel that I would highly recommend you watch. The first one I would recommend is called "Awakened Imagination is the Mind of God." It's another deep dive into this exact same book by Neville Goddard that explains more in depth the ideas of how your imagination is directly connected to the biblical symbolism of the mind of God. The second video I would recommend you watch is called "How to Manifest Any Desire in 2018. I made this at the beginning of 2018, and it's another deep dive specifically with a 3-step process on how to manifest any desire, choosing your thoughts, entertaining them consciously within your imagination, and how that will have a ripple effect into the physical world. So with that being said, thanks for watching this video. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you and answer any questions I can help answer, and maybe it'll spark a new video, who knows. But until I see you again along the journey, oneness in sound, I am OnenO. Peace, everybody.
Support OnenO on patreon.com and gain access to exclusive content.